Hello and welcome to a very special show here at the India Today group. Joining us today is our special guest, Bela Bajaria. Bela was named the head of global TV at Netflix in 2020, overseeing all scripted and unscripted series from around the world. She leads the team for all television and is responsible for several hit shows, which I'm sure you've all watched, including Bridgerton, The Queen's Gambit, Lupin, Unorthodox, Dark Desire, Indian Matchmaking, and several more. Joining us around the table today is a stellar lineup of some of India's top talent. Anil Kapoor, Shefali Shah, Sakshi Tanwar, and Rajkumar Rao. With lots to talk about in terms of the opportunities in storytelling, the hit series that they've already done that are oncoming, and much more here at Netflix India. Thank you all so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Bela, let me start off with you. You're known and you've carved that niche, that reputation. You've been promoted to global head of TV on the back of your penchant for finding those unique stories around the world. Tell us a little bit about your journey at Netflix, how you've really managed to hone in on local language talent that resonates with audiences worldwide.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I think it's interesting. I look at my job now as head of global TV at Netflix, and it really is what is so gratifying to me, a connection of my life personally and professionally, right? I'm an Indian woman growing up in America and never saw myself represented on screen, right? Never saw my story told. And, worked in Hollywood for many years. And when I went to Netflix, this idea of actually telling just really local, authentic stories, but with a global platform was really powerful and interesting. And so traditionally, Hollywood has always exported stories around the world. And what's really been amazing to see is to have local language series that are authentic in their own country and provide them sort of a global platform. So for people to discover like these amazing actors here, obviously very famous and very popular in India, but to have an entire world see their work in that way, right, is a really exciting thing to be a part of. But I'd say whether it's, right, Mumbai or Madrid or Hollywood, it really is about a creator's vision. Somebody walks in the door and they have something to say, and the creativity and really creator first, story first, vision first, and staying authentic to that vision is, I think, why these shows have resonated. And my entire career has been that. Find a vision, back a creator's vision, support them, and kind of get out of the way. It's really sort of, I'd say, the magic to it. And that's really what we do, globally in all of these countries.
So share with us, from some of the recent hits, and there have been several, but, perhaps an anecdote or an experience that stood out to you, whether it surprised you that something became much more widely accepted than you would have ever imagined.
So if I think I can mention, I'll talk about a few titles. I think what's really powerful and interesting to see is that Bridgerton season 1, right, was the biggest English language series Netflix had had. Season 2 just launched, and season 2 became now the largest English series that Netflix has ever launched, right? That's just, a month ago. I think what has been very exciting to see, though, is that Money Heist, La Casa de Papel. I know people here know Money Heist for sure, but what was interesting is that it was word of mouth, and even in India, it was not popular season 1, right? Just the fandom grew, right, in the last few seasons and how it's continued to grow every season. So to see a show in Spanish, told locally and authentically for a big Spanish audience, and that was the goal, right? It's supposed to be very popular and very relevant in Spain. To see it connect with people in that way is really amazing. And to see it connect even a few seasons later and continue to sort of grow. And I have to probably mention Squid Game because it's obviously a big one. And to imagine, and we know that, right, Korea has been really interesting about exporting entertainment, exporting K-pop and sort of music in that way. But to see a show, again, it was going to always be a tentpole in Korea. It was a very important title in Korea. To see a locally authentic show made in Korea from a filmmaker who had that script for 10 years, right? And nobody made it. And it was a film script. And to turn it into a series and to make it, and to see that it was organic fandom, to see that members around the world and members in Korea and Asia who first discovered it really were the ones who used, right, meme and TikToks and lots of other things to explore the fandom of that show. And to see a show in Korea become the biggest show Netflix has ever had is a really powerful thing. It has never happened ever in the history of entertainment.
No, that's amazing. And I'm going to come back to you a little bit more on global markets. But Shefali, you played the lead role, a very gripping, powerful role in a show that went on to win at the International Emmys. And we know there's a second season coming up, talking about season 2. As an actor, how did this challenge you? What was the kind of experience in working on a show like this? Was it far more nuanced, perhaps, on an OTT platform with the kind of script that you had to work with than what we've seen perhaps happen before in Indian cinema?
Hi, Abha. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's not easy, but it's very interesting because when you're doing a series, you have the opportunity of 8 hours of film to create a character. So it's extremely exciting for an actor, but with that comes great responsibility. And Delhi Crime wasn't easy because when you're talking about something that actually happened, sensitivity is paramount. And I think that was one of the USPs of DC, is that it did not do anything to sensationalize it. It just told a story authentically, organically, and honestly, touching all the chords that everyone felt when the incident happened. And along with that, also, I'm so glad that my debut on an OTT platform was Netflix and was Delhi Crime. I couldn't have asked for better because, also what was interesting is DC changed it became my learning curve. With those 8 hours, the other thing that was very important was it was a story of 5 days. So every moment was accounted for. Every single moment. When I went to set, the first question would be, what is the time? Starting from day 1, night 1, how many hours has she slept? When was the last she had a coffee? When did she have get that adrenaline rush? When was the last clue that she got? Or when was the last dip that she had? All of that. So I'm glad I got to do that because my way of working has changed. Yeah, so DC, I don't think there is another. I'm sorry. With all due respect to everyone here, and there's some amazing content on Netflix, but I think there's nothing like DC.
No, that's a really interesting insight, and we'll go straight to Sakshi on that as well, because that's what everyone's talking about now, and you had a phenomenal response. For you, how was this a breakout moment, as an actor, seeing the kind of response from viewers, the fact that you managed to essay such a thrilling role? It's been called, very layered, your performance is being raved about. For you, what's the experience been like?
Well, it took me 20 years to do something like this. And I have to thank Shefali, Delhi Crime and Netflix for these kind of shows, because they really opened the gate for a lot of other actors and different kind of storytelling. And I'm glad that I got to do this, but I have to be very honest, I was quite scared in the beginning. I wasn't even sure whether the creators wanted me for this role. Because I was like, no, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'll not be able to pull this off because this was too much out of my comfort zone. I'd never done something like this. And I remember telling Atul Mongia, director and creator, that I'm very scared. And I'm glad that they thought I fit the role, and they had more confidence in me than I had. And yes, it was very challenging. I was on my toes all the time. Like Shefali said, it changed a lot of things for me also. And I unlearned a lot. While I learned something new, this was also like a constant process to unlearn what I have been doing over the years. So there were scenes which I would do in a certain way, and the directors would come and tell me, no, let's do this way. And it's such an exciting phase. I mean, there is so much to experiment, so much to explore, so much to experience. I mean, I think it's the best phase we are in.
And I think, speaking just when we talk about these two incredible women and their body of work all this time, but to see these two performances of a female character with just such complexity and humanity and such bold storytelling in that way. And that's what I do love about the shows on Netflix and the shows on Netflix India, right? There's just these characters and these roles and these settings that people can be surprising sort of in the roles that they play. They surprise the audience and really push that performance. But, two of the most incredible performances on screen.
So let's not leave the wonderful gentlemen out on this conversation because they've also been surprising, both of you. Anil, I'll come to you first because you've picked very unconventional roles in some of your work on Netflix. Are you having a lot of fun? How are you going about selecting these pieces? What for you as an actor is the is the meaning or the satisfaction of doing some of these roles after you've done several films?
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be on this panel speaking to you. Thank you so much. Well, of course, the first film, it was an original film which I did for Netflix, was AK versus AK, and I think that's the best decision I could do as an actor. And the kind of love I got for AK versus AK was absolutely, I cannot even put it in words, and I'm still getting it, and not only in India but from all over the world. Because of Netflix, that if I have a few filmmakers whom I've worked with, so I don't have to fly to London or I have to fly to LA or, speak to them on the phone. I just email them or I, send a kind of a WhatsApp message and I said, this is the film I've done. And if you would like to have a look at it. And that's what happened. So all my friends and who are very busy, they are, known all over the world. They are the best directors, not only, on the planet, and known directors who saw the film and they just loved the film. And they had an opportunity of promoting other films and backing other films, but they went all out and spoke about the film, spoke about the director, spoke about Anurag, who they had seen for the first time as an actor, and of course, spoke about me also. And there still are, filmmakers coming from all over the world. I'm doing another film for Netflix. This gentleman is from LA, and he's an American Indian, but he's come to me. He's making us film again for Netflix, and again he's seen AK versus AK. So that is international, and there are South filmmakers who are coming to me. I said, why do you want me for this film? This film. I said, no, we saw your AK versus AK, and I showed it to all the leading men of South India. Have seen that film, and they all really love it. And of course, for me, more important is the younger generation. There are times I'm working since last more than 4 decades, but every decade there is a possibility that people might forget me. So how do I reinvent myself? How do I keep myself relevant? And I think can't be better time for me and to work on a platform like Netflix, who's not only a great platform, but I can say that I know other platforms, I want to work with everybody, but I say it because it's the best aesthetics. When you want to go on a platform, you just love going on Netflix, no matter what happens. The way it is, the technology, the way it's so easy, you just, sometimes I don't even go and watch, but I just go and just keep on watching, it's so beautiful. So, these are the things. And of course, I remember when Vikram came to me, and so he says there are certain studios or producers who would like to make AK versus AK. So then next day we met. I said, why go through this stress? I said, we made such good films, and in the past also I've done such good films, and sometimes good is not good enough, and sometimes the box office numbers are so low for such a good film that they're out of the theaters, and they just there is a certain, because everybody's so lazy to really understand the film, because it doesn't fill all the boxes. They just completely reject the film, and the film is out of the theater and people forget about it. But over here, it's there. It's there forever. If you don't want to watch it in the first week, the second week is there, the third week is there, next month is there, next year is there. It's there for them to see the work. So we decided we'll go with Netflix. No stress. Make it fearlessly. We made it fearlessly, and it's there on Netflix to watch it. So I think it's been wonderful. It's a great time, and I've never been so excited about my work, what I am today, in spite of working for so many years.
That's fantastic.
Thanks
And
for the Netflix platform. Absolutely. Yeah.
ease of discovery, longevity, and so forth. Some really valid points. But do you then feel that the allure of the big screen in a market like India is diminishing, given platforms like OTT?
I think we all will survive. It depends. It's not that nothing. I'm nobody to really predict things. But I said what I can see for so many years, that a lot of technology will keep on improving, will keep on changing. But I think everybody will survive. Everybody will, films which are for the platform are going to be, which will do great. They will, people watch it. And in theaters also, there will be certain films which are, tentpole films and big event films will do extremely well. So, it's great time for us, for content makers, for actors, for, technicians. It's like a revolution at the moment, and we should make the most of it.
Absolutely. And I want to come back and ask you about Thar as well. But Raj, talking about films and series, one of your very popular films, Badhai Ho, was licensed on Netflix, where it continued to see a phenomenal response. Then from White Tiger to, I think you've got Monica, Oh My Darling coming up, as well as a series that everyone's talking about, the first one, Guns and Gulabs. So I love your performances. There's always a surprise. There's always a character that you didn't expect. You seem to be having a lot of fun. Tell us about your journey so far with Netflix and the kind of work that you've been doing.
Thank you, Haba. Very happy to be here. So my journey with Netflix started actually with when Netflix acquired Ludo, and that was the first time any of my films came directly on an OTT platform on Netflix. And it was the first time, so I didn't know how people would react and what's the response going to be. But the way people reacted to it, and the kind of love I was getting for Ludo, it just opened my eyes that, it's a huge platform. There's a very, very wide audience out there who prefer watching films on Netflix. And then White Tiger happened, and then, it just multiplied from there. And now very excited to just finish Guns and Gulabs and Monica, Oh My Darling. So I think I share a very good association with Netflix. And I'm, of course, friends with a lot of people out here in this office. And they're wonderful people, one of the best people that I worked with in the industry in whatever, like a small span of my career. But I think, as Anil sir said, there are, of course, several OTT platforms. But when it comes to work ethics and the way they make you feel comfortable, the kind of content they are creating and producing, I think there's nobody like Netflix.
So, Bela, tell me, in terms of production, budgets, resources, how much of that also goes into making a show a success? Is that required? I mean, for, let's say, something like The Crown, you would have probably had massive budgets. But I'm sure equally there are other shows that have been, very sort of reasonable budgets and have also done well. How does one find the right mix of ingredients into making a hit show?
So I think, obviously production value, storytelling, the crafts of all sorts sort of in making a TV series or a movie, right? Very important. And I think if you look at all of these titles that we, this amazing talent sort of spoke about, great variety of types of shows of different scope, scale, different storytelling, different looks. And for us, it's always important that and budgets vary, but it really has to be, what does the creative dictate? To me, the production is always about, what does that script need? Like, what is that show about? What is the aesthetic of that? And so for creators and the vision of a show, we always want to make sure that it has like great production value, and and that budget is really about what that show dictates and what is right. So the crown of scope and scale and history and costumes and what that is, right, is a certain budget. And so, each of them vary, right, by country, by story, but it really is always about, we always want to make sure that everybody has a great creative experience, right? That's talent that's, above the line, below the line, behind the camera, in front of the camera, like the whole experience, all the way downstream, publicity, marketing, like all of the people here that, right, actually go into launching a show. So that's very important. But when it comes to actually production, it has to be about whatever the creative dictates.
So, given the kind of variety of shows that, all of the talent here has been part of, the audience that you're catering to, would that be more local, going regional? Would it be global? I mean, of course, it is also global. But when you're looking at more and more content here in India, are you looking for content that will appeal to the local audience? Is that really where the strength is in building market share here? Or is it a bigger story?
So I'd say for Netflix as a whole, right, in every country, including India, right? India, great because consumers, right, probably love entertainment, amazing history of cinema and filmmakers, and there's great creative talent here. So, that's amazing to be able to really, work with the local talent here. But Netflix as a whole, right, has always been about making local authentic stories in the country that it's in. So being very relevant to the country. Because I also feel like when you try to make a show for everyone, you make a show for no one. And so when people come to me, they go, I have an international show. And I was like, what does that mean? It really is like, just what is the vision of your story in whichever country you're telling? And that could be in Yiddish of an Orthodox, right? That could be in Spain, right? With Money Heist and in Hollywood, right? Authentically an American Hollywood story that ends up sort of connecting with people and traveling. And so for us, I think what is interesting is that to come here and say, the talent here, the local authentic here, and making sure people in India love it. It feels relevant, it feels surprising, it feels bold, and there's a great variety of talent that they love, and that's the most important thing. The difference is we also give it on a global platform. So everything we launch that we make originally, right, we launch to everybody in the world at the same time. So that's the difference, right? The access for storytelling. Right. And again, we're talking about sort of finding on a platform that you can tell anybody in the world, right? You can just scroll over and you can click play on Ozark and you can scroll right over and you can watch Tar, right? And they're all there in the same sort of place. And so the goal creatively is always locally, but we provide the global platform and launch everything and subtitle and dub so people can enjoy it in their own country.
Right.
But honestly, I feel like, just adding to what she's saying, like as an audience, when I watch a Money Heist, I don't really feel while watching it I'm watching a Spanish show, though it's in Spanish language. It's foreign to me, but I'm totally invested in those characters. I feel like I'm a part of their world. I think that's the fun of being in this field, that it doesn't matter which country you are from, what story are you saying. Once you're connected to that character, it becomes a part of you. Like when I watch Ozark, I feel like I'm in that world. I want these people to get out of that situation. So I think that's the beauty of cinema.
And I think that goes to, right, the universal themes, right? In the end of the day, you can connect with people through storytelling, right? You watch these performances of these actors and you're taken on this journey and you're immersed in that world. And it really is, no matter the language, the country it's shot in, it's that universal themes that connects all of us.
And of course, I think for the students of cinema and for the younger generation, for the generation which is going to come, having this platform like, and because otherwise in the past when I started my career, I had to travel to Pune Institute, to the archives to watch, all the great films like Kurosawa's film and the old films like Throne of Blood. And there are so many other films. I had to travel all the way for 4 or 5 hours to watch those films. Today, I'm doing Thar, which is a kind of a film which is rooted in India, based in Rajasthan, but it's a Western noir. So what I just go and watch every film on the platform and just keep on watching it. And of course, the young generation is going to do that. And obviously, the content is going to become better and better because everything is available for them to watch and learn and experience. I watched Queen's Gambit. I just loved the show. And it's about chess. And I'm doing a film on a shooter. And I have been trying to make the films in the last 7 years and nobody's really understanding. I said it's so boring to make a film on a shooter because it's an individual sport. So what do? So I keep on watching things and I then see this show, which is a phenomenal show. I just loved it. And this girl is there, she's playing chess and it's such an exciting show. And it took 30 years 30 years. He was trying to make that film, then a show for 30 years, and ultimately he made it. So there are times when there are such, certain people, as she said, for 10 years, he wanted to do quiz, this beautiful show from Korea. And there are so many films, this Thar which I'm making. This filmmaker has been trying to make this film since last 4 to 5 years. My son is trying to pitch it to, wanting to make this film. And ultimately we get a platform like Netflix and we make it fearlessly and make a film. And people are, now the trailers come out and the kind of feedback we are getting for the trailer is so, and the way they promote it, the way they market it, and it's we don't have to really worry about these things. Will it be marketed? Because that's the fear. There are times when we make a film, and the producers and everybody, there's no money, there's nothing there. So what do we do? And so these are the things which will be so fantastic for the future of the consumers as well as filmmakers, who will give everybody such great content to watch and learn and educate themselves. There are documentaries, so many documentaries. There is no documentary which I've not seen. If I need inspiration, I just go and watch one of the documentaries. So it's great time. It's a kind of a revolution which is happening now.
Shefali, in terms of the kind of issues as well that Netflix takes up, there are, of course, a lot of gender and diversity related roles or issues related to women that are put in the spotlight, clearly lead roles, powerful roles for women actors as well. Would you as an actor look at perhaps doing more such roles? Do you feel that that's something that you'd like to explore, or sort of the universe is an oyster? You could go for, a variety of things, of course, but given Netflix's focus on also ensuring that they touch upon some of these key issues?
I always believe that, like, for example, Delhi Crime is about Vartika's strength, but it's also about her vulnerability. And there is a lot of power in vulnerability. So it's not like I will only pick a role that probably goes by the image that has been created because of the work I have done so far, where it's only she plays strong women, or I don't know. I mean, stuff like that, or it has to have a message. Now, let's be realistic. A huge part of cinema is entertainment.
Entertainment, and also platforms like Netflix have the ability to shape opinion because there is just so much viewer feedback and sharing.
And it has a vast library of stuff. It has Puppet Master, and then it has Casa de Papel, and it has Squid Game, and it has Queen's Gambit, and it has The Crown. So there is so much. So it's not necessary that every story needs a moral.
Fair enough.
It doesn't have to have a social statement,
Yeah.
So I mean, but I have to admit one thing, that Delhi Crime on Netflix changed my position. It became it changed it changed people's perception of me. What I aspired to do for so many years, it finally took shape because of DC. I touch wood, I've been blessed with love and respect, but it didn't translate into work. It finally got down to, what do you do? Oh, we don't know what to do with it's not age appropriate. So either you're a heroine in films, which is a shelf life of exactly 18 to 22. Unfortunately, the expiry date comes really fast. And or your mother, sister, neighbor, chachi. What is strange is, when I was saying this earlier, I realized one thing, that women in real life, and the same way in films, when you were narrated a role, were recognized by the relationship they had. They never spoke about what your character is. What is your character? You are the hero's mother.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly like that.
I
You
couldn't
are the
agree
heroine's friend. What? Who is she but? What is this person? And when you're doing something like this on a platform like Netflix, there is so much to explore, and they're finally giving women their importance. It's age appropriate, and I think it has a big deal to do with a platform like that makes its own stars.
Sure.
Because I think you require actors, not just stars.
That's true.
Unfortunately, when you're doing a commercial film, and I mean, I love watching films, but they need the conventional boxes that need to be ticked for films. They don't know what to do with me. But with DC, it changed. It finally started changing, which is great.
That's the great thing about OTT platforms. Like, I know so many actor friends of mine who came with me from Pune Institute, but even better actors than me, but not getting enough opportunities. And thanks to, like streaming platforms like Netflix, they are doing phenomenally well now. They're doing great shows, great films, and it's generating so much of employment for makers out there,
True.
experimenting with their storytelling.
Very
People feel confident now. Even as makers, people are ready to take a risk because there's another source of, getting some income, and the risk is slightly lesser than what it was earlier. So I think it has given a lot of confidence to a lot of makers out there.
So, who's consuming the content, Bela? I think Anil made a very good point about the millennials and the next generation. But India being such a complex market, and I know that you also have tried the mobile-only viewing, service. I know that the prices have been moderated a little of late. Is that an attempt to also woo, again, I say regional audiences? Let's say outside of the urban metros, or how would you look at expanding your reach? Because we're all looking at subscriber numbers at the end of the day. You know how it is, and of course we all know that Netflix has an edge in terms of entertainment and creativity, but in terms of the target audience, what would you say is going to be the driving force here in India?
So because, globally we have over 220 million members, right? That the goal is, right, we want to entertain everyone around the world. And we also recognize that people have a wide variety of tastes. And so for us, the variety and quality has always been very important, because you may want to watch Bollywood Wives, and you may want to watch Indian Matchmaker or Too Hot to Handle or Love Is Blind, and you also may want to watch Queen's Gambit and Delhi Crime, right, MI. So there's a wide range of tastes and mood. I'm sure you go home sometimes, you're like, I'm in the mood for something light in a comedy. I'm in the mood for a drama. And so for us, the most important thing is really having a variety in those, in the shows that we do. Each super serving and being hopefully best in class of that kind of show. And so when we look at just Indian consumers, right, again, lots of different tastes, and I think if you look at even the titles here that we've mentioned, right, there's a great variety in roles and tones and mood and what those things are. So for us, we want to have everybody's favorite show or everybody's favorite movie, and we want you to be able to find it. We want you to be able to find in India, whoever you are, whichever region and part of the country you are in, that you find local things that you love, right? Maybe in your own specific language, maybe in another regional language, you find a global, a show not in your language. And so we want to be there for everybody. So it's not targeted. We don't look at sort of demos in that way, right? We really look at tastes, and we know that people have a wide variety of tastes, from watching documentaries, right, to nonfiction, to movies, and to other ones that we license, right, and get sort of after theatrical sometimes, on the service. So it's not really, we don't target it that specifically, because we've surprised audiences, right? You sometimes don't know or not sure you would like a thing, and then you discover it on Netflix and you love that show.
And do you also vet in terms of, or give preference to certain issues? I'm also asking because our friend Elon Musk has been talking about, Netflix choosing what he calls woke issues. And I'm not saying his is the last word on the subject, but how do you go about choosing? And would you say that's a fair criticism, or how would you respond?
We have, again, I think when I'm saying that we have such a wide variety of shows, right? And again, so in every category. Unscripted, reality, doc series, films, scripted shows, in all of these different languages. So those all start with the creators behind the camera. What do people want to say? What is the thing they want to do? We're an entertainment company. We entertain people, and that is always first and foremost what we actually do. Do we love that the amount of storytelling we do in all the countries we do, that we have people from different backgrounds and different points of view and bringing different visions of storytelling? We do. I love that that's more inclusive. We just have more volume. We can do that. We can have storytellers from all around the world from different backgrounds. So it doesn't have to be the same kind of thing. So I think, when I look at that, we just have a wide variety of shows and movies that are so different, right, from each other, and always with the goal of entertaining. Some have themes that could resonate, right? That can be, some things are very just full on entertainment. Some things can be thought provoking in a different way, kind of through entertainment. But for me, it really is, we have a wide variety of shows with lots of different visions behind the camera.
Similarly, the potential of the Indian shows making it to the global audience. And I think Maya is already making waves in certain global markets, I hear. So, talk to us about the success of that. And for you as well, as an actress, what you're looking forward to next.
This was very liberating, this kind of an opportunity. I mean, this is what an actor, like Shefali said, keeps waiting for, that you've been in the industry for so many years and yet somewhere you're not taken seriously because of a certain medium you come from or the kind of roles you've been doing. But honestly, where are the opportunities? So this gave me the chance to showcase something that I had never done earlier. And I'm really humbled with the response it has got. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it, although everybody kept telling me that, listen, this is Netflix, okay? And for me, that was the biggest thing because you've been doing so much work. You try to give your best to each and every scene. Even if it's a one-line thing, even if it's like a one shot, you try to give your 100%, but how many people are watching it? And how are they going to accept it? That's the biggest thing. And I think with I hope it does to me what Delhi Crime did to Shefali.
It will.
Because that's what an actor always wants. You want to be taken seriously as an actor, and you want the makers to throw challenges at you, and that's the whole journey of an actor, I feel.
So Bela, and I know we've just got a couple of minutes, but you're here in India, and it shows the importance of the Indian market for Netflix globally. And we know that Netflix has been in the news for other reasons, with everyone wondering about additions globally and so forth. But how important is India going to be in that strategy?
India is very important in the strategy. Again, we want to have members around the world. India has this incredible creative community, incredible history of storytelling. You can see by the talent on this panel and the performances that they give. And I think it's lovely, right, when we talk about sort of Netflix as a service and the power of that. There is that because of the global platform. But the service without these performances, it does not work. And so, right, Netflix as a service plus these kinds of talent and these performances is really sort of what have members so excited about what Netflix does. And that's why people sort of choose, to come there for the great storytelling. So India is a very important part of our global story about the growth.
And Indian content you feel is going to be globally at par going forward? Will we see more and more of it? Is that the plan in terms of increased amount of production?
There's been great investment in India. I think what is really exciting, I think if I just, go back a few months of really looking at this amazing content that sort of, has been coming out very steadily. If you take Aranyak and Fame Game and Kapil Sharma, and we've had sort of, right, this variety of shows, right, for sure coming out. And now obviously recently and the amount of conversation that's happening in other countries right outside of India. So I think, and you look at everything that's coming up with absolute fan favorites of returning seasons, right? Like with Delhi Crime and Jamtara, and these films with Monica My Darling and Thar coming out. Like the quality of these movies and TV shows are amazing, and that's what we want. At Netflix, we don't do anything else. We have no other business except storytelling. That is all we do.
That's why we love it.
And that is the core. We want to make the best in class TV shows and movies, and the talent in India is extraordinary. And the investment is, a big one and a big commitment to India. And I think it's, the team on the ground is why we have local teams on the ground, right, who can really be part of the local creative community. And it's a very important part of our company and our growth.
I want to just ask everyone a closing question, because Reed had said that he never expected India to be such a challenging market. Every story takes time, right, to build and to grow. And we're already seeing, some phenomenal successes. But in order to perhaps get to the kind of ambitious aims that Netflix does have, what are the unique challenges? I mean, you could share the pluses as well, but we've talked a lot about the creative talent. As members of the industry and the ecosystem, like, what do you feel are the challenges and opportunities of building globally at par content from India? I know.
I think you see, we all are work in progress, and we are learning. And you understand, like, for example, Bela coming here has motivated me. It's inspired me. I'm being very honest with you. I'm listening to her. I'm understanding. And I'm sure, people who have experienced on world stage come here and motivate us. India has always been slow, but when it comes with a bang. And I'm sure it will. I'm a very positive person. And it's going to create shows and talent and and films which will definitely be seen by everybody. I can assure you. And I can see it. I can feel it. And the more, they come here and tell us and motivate us, it'll happen. There is a certain, you know it, our country, how it is. It's diverse. There are, we have our issues and all, but we are a very, very hardworking nation. We are very committed, and we can work for 16 to 18 hours. And we have done it. It's not only 8 hours or 9 hours. We can start at 4 o'clock in the morning and sometimes shoot for 48 hours at a stretch. So that's the kind of, we just need a little bit of direction, and it'll happen, and it's going to happen. I'm sure about it. So there are challenges, and like, for example, she's sitting here and already there are 3-4 things running in my mind, which will be huge entertainment shows and entertaining shows. What happens sometimes, initially you want to impress, you want to do some shows which are little, you feel, yeah, I want to be known as an actor. It should be a good show. Then there is a respectability for the filmmaker and an actor. Then he becomes broader. I said, now I've been accepted. I know they know me. And now I'll take something much more challenging. And they're also going to say, yes, they're not going to give me straight away so much of money to make a film. I have to prove myself. So once I prove myself, then I'll come out with another script, which will be much more. And she's right when she says, because I've done a film where I failed miserably. In a way, Shefali was there. I made it for the global audience. She won the Best Actress for the Tokyo Film Festival for playing Kasturba. But somewhere it didn't do commercially well. Nobody went to see the film. I won a lot of awards, but that didn't stop me from making other films. I still kept on trying. And when I got that critical acclaim, I made another film, and then another film, then another film. So it'll go on. So I feel somewhere I've done, Thar, I've done AK versus AK. And we all are going to do much better work. And her husband is a content creator. Raj is a machine. He can work around the clock. I worked with Sakshi. She's terrific. I've done a show with her, and there's great talent, as she said, and she's come here, and I'm sure that's a great future for all of us. So
I agree. The bang is coming.
Bang is coming.
The bang is coming. I agree.
The bang is coming. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're all vested in Netflix's journey, so we wish you all the best, and we thank you for taking the time out today. It was fabulous speaking with all of you, some of India's finest talent, all in one room, sharing with us the future of entertainment and what it looks like. Thank you once again, and thanks for joining us here on India Today.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.